Hello, and welcome to the Good Life Podcast, a place where we can come together to seek God's truth, talk about our faith, and encourage one another in our walk with Christ. I'm your host, Tyler King, and whether you're driving to work, doing some chores around the house, or just needing a moment of peace in your day, we're so happy to have you with us. Today, I'm joined by Jeremy Roberts, someone who has dedicated much of his adult life to encouraging the youth of the church and helping them shape their faith in God. We hope this conversation is encouraging to you as we discuss some of the works of youth ministry. Jeremy, you are sunsetting your time in youth ministry. You've done it for 12 years, which is amazing. For those who don't know, typically what the role of a youth minister is a stepping stone, unfortunately. A lot of people get into youth ministry because they're young, they're out of school, they don't feel like they're, capable for the pulpit for whatever reason, and so they go into youth ministry, and typically what it looks like in our brotherhood is youth ministers have a tenure of 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
And 5 years kind of being on the longer side of things. And so it's really amazing to see people who dedicate a large portion of their adult life to youth ministry. And I think that says a lot about the heart of Jeremy and his love towards the youth and encouraging them, making good decisions, helping them kind of navigate some of the struggles of life and some of the struggles of culture. So we're basically going to look at, some of the best memories of youth ministry. And as every good TV show does, kind of a highlight reel and looking back on all of the good times that you've had in youth ministry and maybe some of the bad times. I don't know what you have ready to share.
No bad times.
We're just
only been good. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not sure where we'll go with this. I think the idea is, one, I want people to kind of, unless your kid is in the youth ministry, you don't always know what's going on. And especially our class is upstairs. Nobody comes up there. So it's easy for us to kind of, be separated from that ministry if we're not directly involved. And so, yeah, part of it is I think we just kind of want to share why that has been a blessing, not just to my life, but I think a blessing to those kids who've been involved, but also just to share some fun stories for those who may not, be directly connected with that ministry. I feel like I should kind of preface everything with just a little bit about who I am, like my personality, because my youth ministry, I think, has worked for me because I have leaned into who I am. I think early on when I first got into youth ministry, there was this mindset that I kind of needed to be like the cool youth minister. I wanted kids to view me in a certain way. And if you know me, I'm not cool. That's just not my personality. And so, yeah, a lot of the fun times, the good memories that we have has been because I feel like I've just kind of leaned into who I am. And I actually did a podcast with some other guys a couple weeks ago, and we talked about, my approach to youth ministry. And one thing I said is, youth ministers, just be authentic to who you are. I know I'm a weird guy. And like our youth kids would be the first to tell you, like, Jeremy is not ashamed to be goofy and weird. He knows that that's who he is. But that's not everybody. And so I'm sure there are a lot of youth ministers that if they tried to do things the way that I did, it would be like, it just wouldn't work. So yeah, like some of my fondest memories are not necessarily scripted moments where I've planned out this perfect event and it, happened flawlessly. It's just those moments when you're with people being authentic and not afraid to goof around. And those are the memories that I think stick out for me. I think there are some youth ministers who probably lean too heavy on the just having fun and don't spend enough time in scripture. And I hope everyone would know, like, we spend a lot of time studying scripture and very serious study, but those aren't nobody wants to sit around and hear about all the Bible classes I taught. But I just wanted to get that out front. Like, yeah, some of the things that I'm sure parents, their kids come home and they're like, tonight we played this game. And their parents are like, that's a weird game. And the kids are like, yeah, it is. And it was great. Because I think the more kids have fun together, the more they build relationships. And the more they build relationships, the better chance of their faith sticking around. And so, yeah, so many of my memories are weird games that we've played. Not even weird games that I like sat down and made up. We just start playing and it kind of happens. I think anything can be a game. Almost anything. I mean, I'm not encouraging our kids to in worship be playing games, but so for example, we go to Six Flags every year, and Six Flags obviously is fun by itself, but the boys especially always play this game because we played it one time where when you're at Six Flags, you can't touch anybody outside of our group. If you do, you're out of the game. And it's just so funny watching these boys walk around, trying to dodge people because Six Flags is busy. And, the employees will come around to check their belt straps on the roller coaster and they're like sucking their gut in because they don't want to get touched. And it's those moments. It's not like I sat down and was like, what would make this trip fun? Oh, let's play a game where it's just a group of kids that start playing a goofy game and they have fun together. And that's what they remember. On the same trip last year, we go to Buc-ee's. If you haven't been to Buc-ee's, life-changing experience. But they have pickled eggs, which is disgusting. If you like pickled eggs, great. That's not my thing. So I bought a thing of pickled quail eggs.
Oh, man.
And we just said, look, if you're the last one to get to the vans, you get to eat a pickled quail egg. And it's like terrible, but they also love it,
Yeah.
So I just think like, I don't know, any time you're together, you're doing goofy stuff like that. You've been a part of some of the weird games we've played.
Oh, yeah.
Magnet Man. I'm gonna be throwing out just some random game names, and you're gonna, if you're listening, have no idea what those are. But I think when I announced to the group that I was gonna eventually be kind of stepping away from youth and family ministry, it's funny to me how many of the kids, their first response was, well, are we still going to get to play and then these games? And at first it was like, wow, that's what my ministry was to you. But then it's like, no, like that's those moments where they could just have fun and be together. That was important to them. And I don't feel bad. Like, well, I wanted them to miss my teaching or that I was such a strong mentor. I think they'll miss some of those things. But for them, it's like those moments where you can just be like completely goofy and genuine. They're going to miss that. So.
Well, and I think that's such a good balance too, because sometimes ministers come in and I don't know, to me, if you're doing ministry right, yes, you spend time in the office, but you're also spending time with people.
Yeah.
And not just spending time with people, but being yourself around people, kind of being their friend. And you look at the discipleship of Jesus and kind of the mastery of his method, and he was around his apostles all the time. It wasn't like, all right, just come with me, listen to me teach, and then go off and do your own thing. It was all the time. They were walking together. So let me just ask real quick, and we're just going to avoid youth names.
Okay. I'm not calling anybody out by name. Deal.
Yep, just for confidentiality reasons, we'll not mention names. What are some of the biggest, I know Greg is going to hate this segment of the podcast.
Oh, yes. God bless Greg Brown and his work in patching holes in the upstairs of the
So
the
that
church
said,
building.
what are the biggest crashes that you've had in youth ministry? I remember we were playing Doit,
Yes.
and you had,
Which, if you don't know what Doit is, ask one of the teams.
Seriously,
It's
trying to explain it is tricky.
It's a mask that I've owned since I was probably like in 7th grade.
Halloween mask, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a weird looking mask. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. You just have to see it.
But the kids love to be chased around by Doit for whatever reason.
So you shut off all the lights upstairs in the I don't know what you call that, your domain.
The upstairs dungeon, that's what
Yeah.
I call it.
So you shut off all the lights in the dungeon, which there are no windows up there either.
No, so it's just exit lights up there. That's
So you've got like the faint glowing of the red exit light.
correct.
And one of the teen boys found another one of the masks, another Doit mask.
Yeah, online.
And so he purchased it. So now you had 2 Doit masks, but not everyone knew that you had 2.
No, no one knew except for me and Keaton Beaver. Shout out to Keaton because a real MVP for finding that online.
So then you invite me up to play Doit, and how many of them do any of them have flashlights where they can shine?
So here's the point of the game.
Because you brought me up without me even knowing the rules of Doit.
Doit doesn't need to know the rules. He makes the rules. But the kids understand there's some item they're looking for, and they want to find that item before Doit tags them. And spoiler alert, Doit is actually more interested in scaring them than he is in tagging them. But they get a flashlight, and they can turn the flashlight on and then back off every 10 seconds. So most of the time it's dark. So that's what's going on. They have a flashlight, but it's not like they can just shine it around the room and at everything and get a good view of what's going on. So yeah, it's, oh man, as we're explaining this, I'm like, I understand. Some people are like, that is a game you should not be playing. And the answer to that is, I am not the youth minister anymore, so deal with it.
Well,
just kidding.
Not that, but you've got a history and pedigree and heritage of teens and now young adults who love your ministry and who think very fondly of their time in the youth group. So that's just a quick little pause, time out. And kids, I mean, yes, that's important to think fondly back in their youth group experience, but kids who are spiritually stronger because of who you are to them and you're just your normal self.
Sure.
Which your normal self is not a normal.
It's not normal.
But
that's just my normal.
Exactly.
Correct.
So all of that to say, Doit is still playing into the development of creating strong Christians.
I know that sounds weird, but let me just, before you go where the rest of that story was going, I know, especially if you're not connected with young people a lot, or especially if you're not connected with our youth ministry, how some people would hear these things and be like, that's not valuable.
Yeah.
You're just being goofy. I think probably before I became a youth minister, that's how I viewed some of these things, because I did not want to go into youth ministry when I was younger. I thought it was the youth minister is just a goof and they, play hacky sack in the parking lot and that's all that is. And it should be more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly believe when we're playing those goofy games and kids get to see, like, he's not trying to be something he's not. He just cares about building relationships with us. And that's going to allow later on, when there are difficult conversations, for them to say, that's a person that I trust because I know he's genuine. And I know he's not just coming here because he's trying to, brainwash me into believing he cares about me and he wants what's best for me. And so, as I know it's weird for some people and they're like, I just don't know how those games help develop a kid spiritually. It's because they're building relationships and they're learning to trust me and the other adults that are involved in that ministry. And that is incredibly valuable, not just for their time in youth ministry, but as they move on. And it's why a lot of kids will still reach out and send texts and say, hey, this is something I'm going through. And it's because they knew exactly who I was. I was authentic to myself, even if it meant running around with a goofy mask on or playing other weird games.
Well, and all that to say, like, relationships matter so much in ministry.
Yes.
And I do think that that's where maybe some youth ministers or even just some ministers, if you just generalize it, miss out on the blessing of ministry is they fail to make relationships.
Right.
And they fail to make those friendships. And again, you preached a sermon on it where you have your inner circle and the people who are closest to you, and then you have a bigger circle and then a much bigger circle from there. But
sure.
Ministers sometimes keep people at such arm's length that they don't know anything about them.
Yep.
And vice versa. The minister doesn't know anything about those people. And the efficiency of that ministry or the time spent in that ministry is just so much degraded because they're not willing to spend the time doing some of these things.
Yeah.
So unpause.
Back to the true purpose of this story.
The spiritual upbuilding. So you've got your mask on as Doit.
Correct.
You come into my office before Doit even starts and you said, hey, I've got another mask. We should try and scare them. Which Doit is already scary. I mean, if you've seen the mask, it's terrifying. In the dark with the glow of the red exit light.
He is. He's just...
It's terrifying.
He's not scary like scary movies. He's scary
spooky,
like, I'm not sure what this is.
Yeah.
And he's great.
So I sneak up. Doit is... You haven't started Doit yet. They all have to wait in the gym.
Yep.
For a certain amount of time.
Doit gets to go up and let his eyes adjust.
Yep. So you go up and then I go up with you. and you're on one side of the dungeon, and I'm on the other side of the dungeon.
Yep.
And I remember playing games, and for the most part, you're hearing screams from both sides.
Which most of the time, the screams are just because they bumped into one of their buddies.
And they think it's Doit, and they scream. So
and most of the time,
very normal.
Sitting in a room by myself, catching my breath.
So they're just freaking themselves out at this point.
Yep.
And I think the game goes on for 5 minutes or so, where they don't know that there's two Doits.
Yes.
Well, one of the teen boys sees you. I think it was either you or I can't remember.
I think he saw me first.
Sees you, runs completely to the other side of the dungeon, and then he thinks that he's gotten away from you.
Yeah.
Well, what he doesn't know is that there's two Doits. Mm-hmm. So in his mind, he's free from you. And he looks over and he sees me in a Doit mask and just loses his mind.
He did.
And runs. Unfortunately.
So, in Looney Tunes, when you used to see like Wile E. Coyote and he runs through the brick wall and it's just like his shape. Yeah. Look, once again, Greg, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. That one, I wanted it to be very clear. That one was on Tyler.
I'll take that one. So
he was fine. By the way, he was fine.
Didn't go all the way through the wall, but it was impressive that he didn't because, granted,
it literally made an impression.
The drywall up there is very thin drywall.
It is.
But the studs are steel studs.
Yeah.
And so he ran to a point where he bent the steel stud.
Yeah.
Shattered the drywall. Oh, man. Good times. So,
I feel like I need to say I do not support this message. I'm just kidding.
Moral of the story is sometimes you've got to be goofy and not even just like, you don't try hard to be goofy. You're just yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most memorable things about probably your youth ministry is the teens have just gotten to know you just as you. You're not trying to put on a facade.
That's it.
Like a holier than thou minister. You're not trying to be, you're just you to them.
So something I learned early on, and again, I think I hate talking about a ministry as successful or not successful. Yeah. I think it's God that's working through us. But I do think the reason that I've been able to stay in it for 12 years when a lot of guys can't is because a lot of guys are trying to be something that they aren't. And that's exhausting. And I just learned early on, not every youth minister can be everything. Mm-hmm. Not every youth minister is going to be a cool youth minister. Not every youth minister is a funny youth minister. Not every youth minister is the most dynamic teacher. But the one thing every minister can be is authentic. And I just, at some point, I was like, I just want to be me. And not every kid sees that and is like, wow, I want to be just like that. Some of them are like, that's weird. But they know that's who he really is. Mm-hmm. And so if I need something, that's a person that I can trust because he's not trying to be something he's not. And I think that's why I've been able to stay in it for 12 years is because I got to just be myself. And it's a lot. When you go home at night after you've been like with a lot of people and you have to have like a certain face on, and then you go home and you just sit down and it's just like a burden is lifted because you can finally just be yourself. It's like when you can do ministry that way, it just doesn't feel as hard. And so, yeah, that's been my approach. So that story about the wall, after that happened, because for just full transparency, that's not the first nor the last hole that was put in the wall. And we're trying to do a better job. We're trying to do a better job of taking care of that
Last summer was good.
It was. We did better. However, after that one happened, I was like, man, like I don't want parents thinking that they're just up there tearing up the building. And I certainly, in all like complete truth, Greg Brown works really hard to take care of this building, and he doesn't need to be up here every week patching holes. But I had a dad come up to me on a Sunday, and he said, "Hey, can I talk to you about this past Tuesday hang time?" And I was like, "Oh no, this is it," and that's fine. And he said, "I heard some pretty big holes got put in the wall upstairs," and I'm already like preparing for the defense of like, yes, and we need it. And he said, if you ever need somebody to come up and help patch holes, I'll do it, because I would rather my kids have a place where they can come and feel safe and grow in their relationships. and we have to patch some holes. Then for my kids to be out spending time with people that aren't going to influence them in a positive direction. And that's part of why things, I think, with our youth ministry have gone well for so long, is because, not because I'm doing such a good job, but because we have parents who support it and we're on the same page. And it was just so refreshing to hear a dad that's like, if we put some holes in the wall, look, we want to be good stewards and take care of our stuff, but I'd rather we have to patch some walls so that my kids can feel like they're growing and experiencing, true Christian relationships than we shut it all down and they don't have that. And I was like, okay, good. I feel the same way. If we can still scale back the the holes.
Yeah. It's not like we're going up there and intentionally, like, I don't know, making a context who can create the biggest hole in the wall.
Correct.
But I mean, I also think about it too. It's amazing. So Natalie, she's got a childhood best friend up here in Oklahoma for the week. Her friend's sister just gave birth to their third child. And so she's just up here, but she's staying with us. And thinking about that, they really formed their friendship at church in the youth group.
Yep.
And then a lot of the friends that I formed them in the youth group. And the friends that I still talk, it's not the friends that I went to high school with. Like,
right.
I think I talked to one person from high school and all the other ones, they're just doing their thing. And I haven't talked to them in 10 years.
Yeah.
13 years. Man, it's 2026. 13 years.
Sorry, man.
And I think about, there are people in the youth group that I still don't talk to on a regular basis, but I still reach out to from time to time, and they still reach out to me. And those friendships in the church, those will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing of, sure, you can make your youth ministry to where you only see them on a Wednesday night or a Sunday morning, and that's the only time that they're together.
Right.
But especially the summer when you do the Tuesday hang time and they're doing things together, they're living life together, they're forming relationships and friendships and those kinds of things. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, there are kids in the college group, I don't like to call them, there are students in the college group, I should say, who they still go and sit down with the youth group because they have friends there. And I think that that's just so valuable with that. So it's funny how you can start a conversation with, here's one of the biggest crashes in the youth group of your time, almost a life-size hole of an individual through a wall.
Correct.
But how that has turned into relationship building. Obviously, there are other ways to make relationships, like Six Flags and things like that.
Or you can also just sit around and like have a normal Bible study together. That's good too.
A lot more civilized.
Correct. But I know guys who do youth ministry, and again, part of it is because it's their personality, where if they're getting together, it's to study the Bible. And I'm not at all speaking against that. Like, that's so valuable. And we do that a lot. I mean, we spend a lot of time in Scripture. But I do think there's this mindset in some people that that's the only thing that's valuable. If you're getting together, you better be doing something, quote, spiritual. And it's like, relationships are spiritual. They're not the same kind of spiritual as studying Scripture or praying, but they are forming our kids. They're transforming them into the people that we want them to be. And I don't know, I think there are lots of youth ministers who are teaching really good things. But then their kids leave their youth ministry and they have all the knowledge, but they just haven't built any relationships. So when things get hard, they don't know who to turn to.
Yeah.
And they walk away. I don't know how you feel. I think back on when I was a teenager, it's really hard for me to think of like Bible classes I sat in. Not that they weren't important. I mean, obviously they helped shape who I am, but I don't think back and think like, oh, there was this Bible class where we worked through this and that stuck with me. There might be some, but it's moments that you like spend together. And I think of, this time where me and my buddies were playing this goofy game at a lock-in, or this time we were on a trip together and we all went and did this together. Like, those are the things that stay with you. And so that's why I just feel like there's this balance between, I'm trying to set a good example for kids and teach them what Scripture says, but that can't be all it's about, or they won't have the relationships moving forward to hold on to any of that stuff.
Yeah. So one more thing before we kind of close out and wrap up. So looking at your schedule, you are so busy throughout the year, just constantly. A lot of people think, oh, youth ministry, again, like all you do is you're goofy and then you teach a Bible class. And it's like, no, from your side of things, there's so much organization, there's so much thought, there's so much prayer that goes into creating a cohesive calendar for the youth group that incorporates relationship building, spiritual edification. There's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people don't see. Unless you work with someone who's in youth ministry, or unless you just know someone who's in youth ministry and get to see a little bit behind the scenes. And there's still even things that like I'm unaware of that you're doing that contribute to a successful youth ministry. I think it's interesting when you think about all those events. It doesn't have to be your favorite, but what is one of your favorite events that you do with the youth group throughout the year?
So two. I'll say two. Because one, as a plug, if you're listening and your kids have not been a part of these things, get them involved. But two, because they just, for me, they're bookends of our summer, and I just feel they're important. So camp is great. When I say camp is great, like as a nearly 40-year-old man who goes to camp, there are parts of it that are really hard. I'm just getting older. It's 110 degrees. And whereas 25-year-old Jeremy enjoyed playing basketball outside at 110 degrees, so there are parts where it's like, that's brutal. But at the end of the week, we take our high schoolers to the top of one of the little, quote, mountains there. And we just sing together. But then the kids just get to give hugs and obviously say goodbye to some of their seniors and everything. And that moment is always so special to me because it's like, I don't know, kids are a little more vulnerable because they know it's a time where they can be open. And some of the things kids have said up there to me about their time in the youth group, it's just stuff that sticks with me because you do sometimes wonder, like, am I just playing games?
Yeah.
And then, they'll say, no, you did a class on this and like it changed the way I see things, or thank you so much for taking us on this trip, because if it weren't for that trip, I wouldn't have built friendships with these people and they've changed my lives. And so it's so good for me to be in that moment. It's super special. I love it. But then the other kind of end, it's not quite the end of our summer, but we do a high school trip to Denver each year, and it's the best. And not just because of all the work we do. I mean, we do some tough work. Last year, nearly killed us. It was like heat advisory all week and the kids worked so hard. But the relationships that are built on that trip are incredible. Even just in the moments in between the big things. There was one year where we were driving up to Denver and there was construction on the highway and maybe even an accident. So we had to like get off the highway and it's just taking forever to get there. And so we started doing a roll call where like every kid on the van had a specific call. And if I would say like, hey, is Olivia in here? And she'd have her call. And the kids had so much fun with that. And it's nothing. But like to this day, there are still kids who like, they remember their roll call. And that's, I don't know, for whatever weird reason, that's still special to them. But that trip it's great because, yes, we get to serve alongside each other, but we also just get to spend time in beautiful Colorado together. And at the end of that week, we always go to Clement Park, which I still believe is the greatest park in the world. And you get this, beautiful view of the mountains from there, and the sun is setting, and the kids just get to be together, and it's great. And I regularly have kids say that that's their fondest memory of their time is just being able to go together for a week and work together, but also sleep on cots and, play goofy games. And it's for 1 week, they just get to build those relationships. And those are special to me as I look back, for sure. And
I think it's so amazing to look at a ministry and you see so many different facets of things that make it what it is. And it's consistent Bible study. It's good Bible study, like quality, not just quantity, but quality Bible study. It's serving others and helping out, the work days at camp, all the things that go into camp, serving each other. You see that on the mission trip and even at camp. Camp, when I went a couple years ago, it's amazing to see how someone might see someone sitting alone and they go over and encourage that. And it's just, there's so many great things to witness about those two events. And I don't know, I just think about the church, and there are so many good things that happen in youth ministry. And it's unfortunate that it seems like sometimes when we graduate, it just, all that stops.
Yeah.
And I think that there's such an homage of, we can keep those things going, and we can keep some of those things.
Yeah, it just looks different.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't have 50-year-olds playing Doit up in the dungeon.
Though, hey, man, you might venture up there. You might think it's more fun. Hey, so can I say one more thing just as we end? Because I feel like this is, as we've announced, Chant is going to be the new youth minister. So to some degree, I feel like I can say this for him more so than, I don't necessarily feel like it was this way, but I do feel like sometimes there is this sense that youth ministry is like a lesser, like you said, there are some people who kind of see it as a stepping stone. Mm-hmm. It's like almost there's a ladder of ministry, and we're all just trying to get up to their, that pulpit minister.
Yep.
And this is not at all to take away from what Tim does. I think I couldn't do what Tim does. It's a great service. But I do think there's this mindset with some in the church that it's like youth ministry is what you do until you're ready to like be a real minister.
Right.
And I can just tell you firsthand from 12 years of doing it, it's hard. Mm-hmm. And I may feel differently 12 years from now, but I really do think like this is what God made me for. I think there could have been a world where I could have just continued in youth ministry for forever and made that my life ministry. And so I just, maybe to our members as Chant comes in, I think it's so valuable. And I did feel this way, which is good. Not to view that as like a lesser or as a stepping stone, but as like, that's a valuable ministry. And I'm thankful that I had people who supported me for 12 years, who weren't constantly saying like, so when are you going to take that next step? Mm-hmm. And look, there have been some jokes, even as I made the announcement, and some people are like, oh, finally getting promoted. And like, I get it. It's funny. But like for me, it's not a promotion. I'm just doing something different now. And I just think it's so valuable for us to view youth ministry and to view youth ministers as not lesser, but just different.
Yeah.
It is a different kind of ministry, and they work just as hard, and they care just as much. It just looks different. Mm-hmm. And I think for Chant, as he comes in, I hope he feels that, because that's what I've experienced for the last 12 years. And I just feel like as the old youth minister now, to kind of be able to step up and say, hey, like, let's continue to value that position. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And college ministers are fine too.
Yeah. One of these days I'll grow up and do something else.
Get a real job.
Yeah. I know. Maybe we'll have a segment about college ministry.
Yeah, maybe we should.
There's a lot of mystery behind it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much if you're here at this point, you've made it all the way through. This was a longer one.
If the Doit stories didn't scare you off, then good job.
But we're just here having real conversations about some of the things that we're engaged in. Again, hopefully to encourage you and to build up, I don't know, just the community of the church here. So appreciate everyone listening.